Hello, everybody. Sorry for last minute, just like last week. Didn't mean to. Just wanted to go out and give the results if you didn't already look. I don't know how many people have looked. Let me see. There were a total of, let's see. All right, there's a total of 6 people that looked at the stats already, so not the end of the world. So we had a couple of interesting matches. Let's see. Clearly there's audio. All right, so first match. First match is, it's going to be the Team Hollyland versus Team Sulu. First match was Tristan versus David Dorfman. Tristan won the first match, 238 to 190, or first game, 238 to 190. Dorfman won the second one, 239 to 202. Tristan won the third one, 234 to 212. Game 2 is DJ Roberts versus Rodney Nash. Rodney took 2-1. First game was 223 to 199. Second game was 241 in favor of DJ to 218. Last one was Rodney with 227 to 207. Third game was Sulu 2-1 over Chad, who Chad had been struggling a little. Sulu not so much, except for the last game. Sulu won 269 to 223, 240 to 236, and then Chad won 184 to 162. James Richards went 2-1 over Jeff Satterley. Jeff just didn't have a great week. And James has been on fire for the most part. He shot 300 Friday night at Gary's Friday Night Fury. And then Jonathan, or Corquise took 2-1 over Jonathan. 232 to 230. That was a close game. Jonathan won the second game, 242 to 212. And then Corquise ran him over with 268 to 208. So that was game 1. Or match 1, excuse me. Match 2 was the matchup of the week, in my opinion, because it was a first place team versus the second place team of the other division. It was the only interdivisional match. And first game, Dustin had a great set. 206, 259, 234. Trey had a sub. He had Scott Silvestri. Scott had a very good night. So it was 248, or excuse me, Dustin won the first game, 259 and 248. And then Scott won 256 to 234. Scott won again with 256 over 214. Second match, Dietrich swept Donnie 216, 229, 204. Donnie just never started anything. Just apparently had a bad night altogether. Michael House, who had a very good night, shot 730. He swept Zach Pope, who just had an average night. Michael House goes 57, 25, 58. Carl had a real good match against Jesse Hawkins, and I felt bad for Hawkins when I saw his scores. So Carl went 2-1 over Jesse. It was 246 to 234, close game. 258 to 237 in favor of Carl. Last game was 238 to 222 in favor of Carl. The last match, Michael just ran over Justin, who had one real good game. Michael won with 275. Justin won with 278. Michael won the last game with a 248. Team Carl Williams won 3 team matches. Excuse me, 3 team points. And they won overall 14-4. This one started out pretty bad. When I say pretty bad, I thought I was going to go one-sided. It did, but it went the other way. Bill Selden didn't have a great night after having bowled rather well most of his tournament out in Smyrna for the PBA 50. Maurice swept him 228. 235, 278. Bill was just never in it. Warren barely edged out. It was actually pretty close. Warren won the first game 205 to 193. Warren won the second game 215 to 212. Warren lost the third game 237 to 236 in favor of Michael Daly. Michael Daly will be absent this week, so he'll be using his absence scores. Brian Brookins just got swept by Matthew Holliman, who shot 205, 267, 279. Brandon Johnson had a really good night. Shot 229, 217, 238. Josh was out, so he had his absence score of 212 for all 3 games. Then Glenn Brown, who started off with 300 over Robert Ulbrich. It was 300 to 236. And that was about where it stopped for Glenn. Glenn goes 220. Robert goes 236. Glenn then shoots 144. Robert shoots 233. So Team Selden won 2 team games to Brookins' team 1 point. It was 11-7 in favor of Team Selden. The next match is Team Brownlee over the Lone Rangers. I'm a little shocked that this went the way it went. Really would have thought Brownlee's team would have done a little better. Bruce came dangerously close to sweeping Zach Cobb. Bruce won 2-1. First game, Zach Cobb 197 to 194 in favor of Zach. The second game, Bruce got lined up. She's 257. Zach had 215. Last game, Zach just fell off. Bruce shoots 233 to 183. Zumbach had a sub that did not do real well. Apparently, there's something wrong with the lane machine. Lanes didn't get oil, and the sub bowled really bad. On the other hand, Terrence had a relatively good night with the exception of game 2. 269, 198, and 256. Terrence swept. Rich Crawley, who had our second of, I believe, 4 300s this week. He goes 224, 300, 194. Bo Bell, 201, 224, 216. There's 2-1, Richard Crawley. Michael had a hard time starting out at Bolero Wednesday night. He goes 204, 204, then 259. Nick Agnew started off decent, 229, 278, and then fell off 169. Nick won 2-1. Then Aaron does what Aaron does. He had an exceptional night. Goes 259 and loses to Chris Forrester, who had evidently, I'm assuming, I didn't see the sheet, evidently he had the front 10, shot 287. Then 204, Aaron won with a 213. And then Chris shot 216 and Aaron shot 257. So Aaron won 2-1. Team Brownlee won 0 team points. Lone Rangers won 12-6. Then we have our next match, which was Team Wing versus Team Print Up. Again, this is a little bit another shocker. Preston Hollyland wins 2-1 over Preston Print Up. Preston Hollyland goes 205, 222, 288, which again evidently had the front 10. To Preston Print Up's 234, 185, 236. Matt Wing, who decided this week to struggle, where he could have struggled last week against me, but he killed me. Danny Butler goes 246, 191, 197. Matt just didn't get anything started. Well, I think he had carry issues, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. He was 191, 205, 162. Jeff Sanders just swept Kevin Constantino, 238, 194, 288. But again, obviously had the front 8. Or had 9 spare all the way to the last ball, either way. Sanders won, swept. Justin Turner swept Jason Connell, 223, 220, 235. And then Roberto went 2-1 over Donnie. He shot 206, lost to Donnie, 258, won, 208 to a 204. So obviously that was a close match. Then we go to the next. The next match was Team Corley versus Team Robertson. Jeremy had carry issues all week at Bolero. He goes 171. Chris Williams, also at Bolero, shot 215. Chris shot 265 with the front. Man, he had the front 9 or front 10. I don't remember. He shoots 265 and wins to Jeremy's 219. In the last game, I don't remember what happened. He goes 196. Jeremy got a point with a 198. So obviously that was a close game. Then there's me against David White. I just had a weird night, Monday night at Strike Zone. I go 221 to David's 193. I go 192 to David's 237. And I go 234 to David's 174. I go 2-1. Kenny goes 257, 244, 198, and sweeps Gavin, who just, I don't know what the problem was with Gavin. I know he hadn't been bowling the last 2 weeks. I don't think he's bowled great. Gavin goes 186, 226, 161. Then Chelsea is doing exactly what Chelsea's been doing. Almost sweeps Brian Kirkendall. First game was Kirkendall 230 to Chelsea's 218. Then Chelsea goes 268, 246 to Kirkendall's 203, 225. Then we go to the last game. Chad Pitcock, I think he said he was hurt and just couldn't carry either. And Landon goes 242 to Chad's 202. 256 to Chad's 224. Chad gets the last game, 215 over Landon's 205, or 208, excuse me. Team Corley won 2 points, team points, and we won overall 11-7. Then there's the last match, which was Team Hardigan versus Team Johnson, which was a really close match. You've got Damian won 2-1 over Richie Tharp, who had just a horrible night. Damian goes 205, 214 to Richie's 186, 147, and then Richie comes back and wins by 1 pin, 197 to 196. Michael Corder versus Jacob Bradley. Jacob swept him. 246, 234, 201 to a 214, 210, 168. Then you've got Dylan Dupree sweeps John Johnson, who had a really good night. I mean, John had a bad last game, but John goes 236, 279, lost both of those. And then 182. Dylan has our other 300, our next 300. Dylan goes 247 to 236, wins. Dylan goes 300 to 279, wins, which, you know, you got to feel bad for anybody that loses with a 279. Then Dylan shoots 226 and beats Johnson with a 182. Last, Timmy versus Schubert. Schubert makes his comeback after having been out for 2 weeks. It was 205 by Timmy to 196. Timmy shoots 300 Monday night at Strike Zone. Oh, I'm sorry. That was last week. No, that was this week. He doesn't use Monday night scores. He uses Thursday night or Wednesday night scores. So it was 205 here to 196 Schubert. He goes 235 to 206 Schubert. Timmy wins that one. Then Timmy shoots 236 to Timmy's 205. Timmy wins 2-1. Mike Williams sweeps Lucas, who had a horrible week between Bolero and Strike Zone. Mike goes 228, 236, 289, and sweeps Lucas with a 200, 209, and a 214. Or, excuse me, 217. Team Johnson wins 8. Team Johnson wins 10-8. And if we go over here, we'll see the standings. Here's the top. There's the top division. You got Team Carl Williams in first place, 38 points. You got Team Lone Rangers with 31. Third place is Team Hollyland with 28. Brookins in third or fourth with 25. Brownlee in fifth with 24. You have a tie for sixth, seventh, and that is Team Selden and Team Sulu. Then we got the second division. We got Team Corley with 40 points. Team Printup with 29. Tied for second with Team J. Williams. Right behind them is Team Johnson. Right behind them is Team Hardigan. A little bit of ways, you got Team Wing. And then on the bottom, you've got Team Robertson. So if you those are all the standings right there. So overall, Team Corley's got a 2-point lead over Team Carl Williams. Now remember, week 7 we have the inter-conference, whatever you want to call it. So that's where it's position round. So if tomorrow was the position round, it would be Team Williams versus Team Corley, which obviously looking at that, it's a very close match. Williams has got the high average with 236, followed by Corley with 228. Then after that, it jumps down to 24, which is Team Hardigan. So now we have the matchups for next week. Starting off, we have Team Brookins versus Team Lone Rangers. Like I said, Michael Daly will be absent, so Michael Daly's going to have to use his absence score, his average minus 10, or 15. His average minus 15. I don't know if Josh will be back. I think he's gone for 2 weeks. We'll find out. I'm not positive. The last match will actually be good. Robert Albrecht versus Chris Forster. That'll be a good match. Then you got Bill Selden versus Zach Cobb. You got Warren Clay versus Zumbach. I can't remember if Zumbach is back this week. I think he is. Then you got Matthew Holloman versus Richard Crawley, which could be a good match. Brandon Johnson versus Michael Brownlee, which again that could be a close one. You got Glenn Brown versus Aaron Holloman. I'm gonna have to give the edge to Aaron on that one. I just believe he's gonna win that. Then you've got Carl Williams versus Team Holloman. You got Dustin Williams versus Tristan Menz. Dustin had a really good week last week. Tristan's just been on a real good roll here. So that I'm not going to call. Yeah, Dietrich and DJ. DJ struggled a little, so I can't call that one. You got House and Chad Carden. I know Chad's on my team, and you know he's my friend. I'm going to have to give that one to House. You got Carl Williams and James Richards Jr. Now, normally I would give that one to Carl without question. Not because of James, but because of Carl. James has really been I mean, you can count out on your hand how many bad games he's had at Strike Zone. So it's really hard to call that one. This is another one that, truthfully enough, it's a hard one to call. Obviously, Michael's going to do what Michael does. But Jonathan, he's had a couple real good sets. He's had a couple of self-destructive sets, but he's had a couple of really good, actually, he's had a couple of self-destructive games. But overall, Jonathan's started the season off real well. I don't think I can call that one. The only one I can really call is going to be House versus Carden. I'm going to give that one to House. So then we have Fredep versus Sulu. I'm going to give Dorfman game over Preston. I'm going to give Rodney's absent this week. So Rodney won't be there. I can't remember if they've got if Sulu has a sub or not. I'll get with Sulu to verify that. Then you have Sanders over Sulu. I kind of going to give that to Sulu. He's been bowling real good lately. You got Justin Turner over Jeff Satterley. I'm going to have to give that to Justin Turner. Then you have Corkeese and Donnie Wilson. I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-to-1 match, but I'm not going to say who is going to be 2-to-1. Because it could go 2-to-1 either way. I just don't think that's going to be a sweep. Then you got Team Robertson versus Team Johnson. So I know Richie Tharp recently, outside of the one he just, last week, he had been bowling really well. Honestly, Chris has not been. I see this being a dumpster fire, so I don't know which way this is going to go. Then you got David White versus Jacob Bradley. I mean, we saw White a couple of weeks ago. He won in Nashville, so that can go either way. Gavin and John Johnson. I'm going to have to give that one to John Johnson. Kirkendall and Schubert. I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-to-1 in favor of Brian Kirkendall. Landon and Mike. I don't know much about Landon. I know he's bowled well, but I'm going to give that one to Mike. So I'm going to say that Team Johnson wins that whole thing. I see it's going to be close. It's going to be like a 12 to 8, 11 to 7. Then the last match that you see here in this view, let me scoot up a little. Team Corley versus Team Hardigan. So you got Jeremy versus Damien. I'm going to give that to Jeremy. You got me versus Michael Corder. So I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-to-1. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know if it's going to be me or Mike that's got 2. You got Kenny over Dylan. I'm going to give that one to Kenny. You have the matchup of the week. For more ways and more reasons than one, you've got Chelsea Hardigan versus Tim Hardigan. I mean, you're not going to see me vote against Timmy very often, but Chelsea's just been killing it. And the other thing is when Timmy's motivated, I don't know how well that's going to go. I'm going to sit there and say that the multi-time Tennessee Queens champion who is bowling next weekend in Smyrna for the PWBA, I give that to Chelsea. The last one is Chad Pitcock versus Lucas Hardigan. So Lucas struggled all week last week. I don't know if you went in the lab and worked on anything this weekend. Chad's been struggling too. I see Chad figuring something out. I see this being high scoring. I don't see anybody bowling below 740 for this. That's just my opinion. So I'm going to say this is going to be like a 10 to 8. And I'm going to say Team Corley wins 10 to 8. In the last match, it's Team Jay Williams versus Team Wayne. Trey Hicks versus Preston Holliman. That could go either way. I'm going to kind of give the nod to Preston. You got Donnie Dole over Matt Wing. I'm going to give that one to Matt Wing. Zach Pope, I don't know him enough. But I'm going to sit there and say he's going to take it from Constantino. I've got Jesse Hawkins all day long over Jason Connell. And I'm going to say this is going to be 2-1, Justin and Roberto. Again, I'm not going to say who because Roberto is pretty solid. Justin did not have a good week last week. I think it's been like maybe 2 weeks since he's had a good week. But Justin started off the season, I think, with 3 honor scores. So, I mean, we're in September. He's got 3 honor scores. Much like Michael Holliman. And much like, well, Lucas had 2 in one night, so I don't know if that counts. But anyway, I say that's going to be a fairly close match. Like I said, I've got Preston, then I've got Matt Wing, then I've got Zach Pope, and I've got Jesse, and I got the last one as a split. So that one's going to be another 10 to 8, maybe a 9 to 9, somewhere in that ballpark. So the standings are posted on the website. All these sheets that I've posted are all on the website. You go to the Draft League, you go to Week 3, and you'll see them all in order. Week 3 is at the top, and there's 2, then there's 4. Or, excuse me, 3, 2, and then 1 at the very bottom. I don't know that I posted the upcoming. Upcoming is in with the week.